Today we'll be going over Nautilus, which I made a guide a few weeks back, but it's outdated already. So today I will try to fix that. I will go over everything in his kit, though most of the things will be quick and I will mostly stop on his items. And that's gonna be everything. I hope you enjoyed the video. You can subscribe if you do and want more content. And let's go for the runes. So, runes haven't changed much. So, as your main, you want to go Resolve with Aftershock, which allows you to go for tower dives very easily and helps you in the early game a lot. Then you want to take Shield Bash, which is like the single best rune for Nautilus, because it scales of your shield and your shield scales of your HP, so you deal a lot of damage together with getting a lot of shield. And it works really well. Next, you want to go either bone plating or second wind. I would mostly recommend bone plating because once you hit level 2, you want to go in and kill enemy laner or support. It doesn't matter, but kill anyone. So second wind works too, but most of the time I would go for bone plating. Conditioning is an option, but with Nautilus you always want to go for those early plays. So mole planting is just again really great. Next, you want to take either unflinching or overgrowth because revitalize increases a bit your shield, but it's not significant. While unflinching allows you to be more useful since you can't be CC'd and are pretty hard tank. And overgrowth, you can take this if enemy team has a little to zero percentage damage, like HP. So they may have trouble killing tanky opponents, like they have a lot of assassins and things like this. But unflinching is again safe and best option. For secondary, you will want to take Inspiration with Biscuit Delivery, since perfect timing is not as useful now. Like, you can get that one tower dive, but that's about it. And this allows you to go for those early plays since you can get into the game easier with that mana and health regen. So it may even stay in the line if your ADC wants to. And then you want Cosmic Insight because, well, shorter cooldowns better Nautilus. And for smaller runes, you want to take again haste on offense, so you can spam abilities. And on flex on defense, you want magic resist and armor. You can take both. Like if enemy team makes the mistake of going one damage type only, or if their magic damage isn't something that you can worry about. So against something really squishy and unmobile, you can easily hook and your team can kill the enemy. So against uh, battle mages like Echo and this, you want to take magic resist because they can cause a lot of trouble. And that's gonna be everything for runes. And I'll see you in the game with everything else, as always. Okay, so let's quickly have a look at summoner spells and then items. First off, you want to always go for flash because flash is flash. And then I guess that 90% of the time you want to go ignite because you want to get those early kills. Other option is going for exhaust, which actually works really well with Nautilus. Since if of course you want to take it into burst enemy team comp. But thing is that you can lock down enemy champion Then use uh, your summoner, and in that time that they can't deal damage and can't move, your cooldowns come back up. So you can lock them out again, and during that time your team should be able to kill them. And that's gonna be everything for summoners. Now to items. So, uh, for start, you can take either shield guards or relic shield. I usually go for relic shield because you have mostly AP scaling. Sometimes, if you really want to have that strong early game and it's your only way of winning, you can take shield guarders because your passive deals additional damage equal to that. But Relic Shield is better scaling and obviously health pots. Then after that, you will want to take your Sapphire Cape, which I really enjoy using this season. You want to do that because once you leave the laning phase, and shortly before that, Nautilus is unable to deal damage. Basically, he's just a CC machine. That's your role in the game at that stage of the game. You just deal zero damage to an ADC, pull them towards you, and your team decimates them. But with Sunfire, first off, Mythic passive gives you ability haste, which is the number one thing on Nautilus because you want to have your abilities always up. But it deals damage to enemies who are around you equal to your maximum HP. So you can deal damage because you are going to be building tanky. It it's the point of the item, but I think that it should be said that it allows you to deal some damage, and those basic stats are also pretty nice. For boots, you will want to take, and now again, that depends on enemy team comp. I usually go for Mobius because I still think that Nautilus is a great roamer thanks to his skill. But sometimes when team is heavy AD, I go for steel caps or mercury threads. So again, depending on team comp, but merc threads are probably the better option out of these two. But I still like Mobius more. For your third item, you will want to take Zeeks because, well, it allows you to again deal some more damage, which you are not able to deal. Well, your ADC does the damage, but point is that it works really well. And of course, you can change it so when your line of fails, you can just go to someone else. And it also has really great uh, basic stats. Now, and then it is kind of on you. I go Night Swow because you are tanky, so you can keep your team alive a bit longer. And for last item, it differs. Sometimes I would even go for Gargoyle if you know that there are gonna be long and extended fights, but you work as a pickup, so you don't really want long team fights. But it is a great item. Um, then you can go for Abyssal Mask, which again, if team is AP, you can decimate them with this because again, tankiness, yada yada yada. But that increased damage works real well, and since you have free immobilizing spells and it has no cooldown, you can get free enemies whenever you want. So this is what I would probably recommend, but mostly in the AP. Radwin's Omen is the same thing against AD champions. You just can't be damaged by critical strikes. So usually want to take this against, right, like if they have hyper carry like Jinx or Kai'Sa, you usually want to go for Randuin's. And lastly, you can try to go for, oh, here it is. You can try to go for Redemption if you want to support your team in other way than just destroying other players' life. But most of the time I would really go for Abyssal Mask. And of course, buying control wards as often as you can, because you usually won't get to your sixth item with Nautilus if you play right. And if you do get to the sixth item, you've probably already lost. And okay, let's have a look at abilities. So, uh, let's start with your passive. Basically, every time you attack a new target, you you can root them and deal bonus damage for you can root them. I think, yeah, it's 1.5 seconds at the start. You can see on the level 1 it's 0.8. So it is really powerful since it's a point and click auto attack uh, route and can work really well. I would also want to say that you attack really slowly, so you have to make sure that you can hit your target. Then we got your Q, which, what is it called? Dredge line, which is a quite long skill shot which allows you to pull towards terrain or towards enemy champions. Uh, Enemies, sorry. If you hit an enemy, you will pull them a bit towards yourself and then knock them back. So thanks to the knock up, you can, if you have Yasuo, it is a really great option because you have two knockups. So you can think about that. And yeah, every time you hit a terrain, you get half of the cooldown and mana cost back. So you can easily use this to get to lane. Uh, One thing I like to say that during your Q cast, you can still use other abilities. I will talk about that later in combos and these things. And yeah, ooh, is there anything? Yeah, I've talked about it in the last video, but the possibility of hitting terrain is much shorter than hitting an enemy. So you basically have to hit this short, um, not white line in middle, so you hit terrain. As you can see here, once he's standing somewhere near the skill shot, it gets him. But with terrain, you have to hit it directly. And yeah, I believe that's sorry, everything. Your W. Your W is an is a shield which also works as an auto attack reset. So basically, when you press your W, you get percentage of your max HP from 8 to 13, I believe. Right? Right. And your auto attacks deal bonus damage as long as you have the shield. It works really well because of the auto attack reset, so you can do nice things like in the early game you can hit champion, auto attack, hit them for the second time. Or if they're close enough, you can hit both laners and root them both in place. Then we have your E, which creates in this circle around you, just hit every enemy and slows them from 30 to, I believe, 50%, yes. And deals magic damage. It works really nice. I should also say that you want to get your Q and upgrade it first. Then you want to get your W on level 2nd, E on level 3. and max your abilities in the order of Q, E, W, because the slow on E is increasing pretty nicely. And the cooldown is also being reduced. Now it's 30 seconds, so you can see it is quite nice. And lastly, your ultimate. You will target an enemy champion, and it will send a wave towards them, which will then knock them up. If it hits any other enemy unit, it's knocks them up too. Sorry. And yeah, now into some more interesting stuff. So for combos, you basically your best combo in the early game is on level 2, where you can hit your Q, automatically hit your target, like this, and then use your W for auto attack reset. So it looks like this. And then you just walk around and auto attack them until your Q cooldown is back. Then on level 3 you want to do the same thing, except you at your E after the route ends. So you do like this, 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 this. And yeah, that's mostly it. For your ultimate, you have options of going like using your Q, W, E as always, and then using your ultimate. If you have, for example, this enemy right here, I can't reach him right now, but you lock down one target, get enemy in behind him, and he gets knocked up while your team is destroying the closest enemy. Then you can use, I was talking about that in the previous video, but I could do this again. Your ultimate always faces in front of you, so right here it is starting here. But when you use your Q, you can change direction you're facing. So when I Q and then ultimate this guy, it will knock them up both. So that is a thing to keep in mind. Also, here is the W reset thing. And yeah, that's mostly everything I want to say to abilities. Except you can use your E during your Q dash. So when you're dashing towards an enemy, you can use E while in animation to save your route for later. And same thing goes for escaping. When someone is chasing you, you just want to press your Q, E right behind, and run. And yes, that's everything. In the laning phase, you mostly want to control the lane. So because you are so powerful and thanks to your W you have easy trades, you are just waiting for a time when you can hook any liner you see. You work really great into scaling lines. So if they have, I was talking about like Jinx, who is also extremely immobile, you can kill her extremely easily on level 2 if your ADC is capable of dealing damage. You want to mostly stay on the outer side of the map because you have a lot of terrain you can use here. Also, I think I should say is that when you're trying to hit someone with your Q, always try to have terrain behind them. So if, let's say, I have this guy here, he flashes, I still get to the terrain here and have chance to catch him. Then once you get probably your first kill or you are forced to recall, you probably want to go to mid lane because your ADC will i- most likely be pushed in, so you don't have to be there for that. And help on a mid. Then you're rotating back. And yeah, in team fights, you don't really want to go into team fight. What you want to do is to try catch some enemy off guard and get picks for your team so you win those team fights. Once you're in those, you just want to pop your ultimate at the furthest enemy and stun them for an eternity. And yes, I believe that's everything. Always, once you get out of the laning phase, always be with some ally champion. It doesn't have to be your ADC, but always be with someone. Because even though you have extremely high CC amounts, you deal no damage because Nautilus has quite bad scalings. So what you want to do is assist someone getting at kill because once you are alone, I believe almost any champion in the game, apart from some enchanters, can easily destroy you. So that's gonna be everything. I hope you enjoyed the renewed video, and I'll see you in the next one. Petri out.